We're live.
Hello, Oakland. Hello, District 3, and anyone who's watching. It is Carol Fife with our District 3 live update on the day of Thursday, January 26, 2023. So if I haven't seen you yet, Happy New Year. We got a lot going on already. We're only like into the first month of the year, and things are popping in the city of Oakland. And for that reason, one of the things that I want to stay tuned in on and um, kind of check out this evening is the police commission meeting. So we're going to go through this information a little quickly, a little more quickly than I had intended, but I really want to get to that meeting. Very important conversations happening, and it's critical that as a person on the public safety committee, that I'm in tune with what's happening, and I want to be able to communicate that information with you all too. So that said, I'm going to get right into what we're talking about today, which is a look back and a look forward. So we're going to just go through some of the benchmarks of what we wanted to do in our first year in office and what we were able to do in our second year of office and what we plan on doing in 2023. Everybody knows I was elected in 2020, came into office in 2021, got my bearings, planted a bunch of seeds, and now it's time to start actually getting on the ground to start to reap some of the things that we were able to sow over the first 2 years. So that said, we quadrupled the number of pieces of legislation that we put out from our first year in office. So 2021, we did 7 pieces of legislation, and in 2022, we did more than 24 items. We brought forward lots of legislation. So this realize some of the results of what we actually planted. So one of my biggest issue areas is housing. I think it's something that we all care about. A lot of people know me from my organizing and activism around housing issues, the statewide work to make housing a human right. Shout out to Leah Simon Weisberg on the work to get some stuff done, the work with Eric Tars. Started the conversation with then Assembly Member Rob Bonta, but housing is a huge issue, and people know my position that I don't feel like it should be a commodity. And so the work that I've done locally has been reflective of that. And so one of the first things that I did, and one of the things I think is really, really important to protecting the majority of people who are housed in Oakland, is to pass the rent cap. So I said we're gonna get right through this list. So what we were able to do is cap rent increases. So during the first half of the year, we worked to protect Oakland renters from an unprecedented rent hike of nearly 7%, when the previous average had been about 2.4% and never exceeded 3.6. And the legislation limited the rent increase to 3%. We thought that was really good because we are not out of COVID. We are not out of the woods, and a lot of people are still struggling. And I do want to acknowledge it's not just renters that are struggling. There are also people who are providing housing that are also struggling. And we need each other. There's like this symbiotic relationship. So until we actually create the social housing that we need, until we change this entire system, we've got to realize that we got to figure out how to work together. But one of the ways that I wanted to make sure that renters were safe was this rent cap. The increase was a problem because renters, who are 60% of the residents in the city of Oakland, many of them are rent burdened or pay more than 30% of their rent income in rent. I know I'm severely rent burdened, and it's not even funny. And that makes it difficult to do anything else in your life if the majority of your check goes to pay for rent. And so I wanted to make sure that whatever increase was coming forward was able to be borne by the people who are, just struggling to make it by. So that was a huge win for us. Number 2 is the homeless intervention. So from the beginning of this year, my office was researching the feasibility of temporary housing at the former Oakland Army base. And that was a fight. And it continues to be a fight, but it is something that I'm still in it for. And the amount of public land that is available on that site, I just really felt was underutilized. The folks who had an exclusive negotiating agreement for that particular site One expired and one has not broken ground yet. City administrator said that they will soon, and it's still in the works. But I started the process to get the remediation work done, or to get the variance cleared so that we could have emergency housing on that site. That is still in process. It was made very challenging for me to even get to the point where we could get the votes to study the site. But we made a little bit of headway, and we're still in process on that. So number 3 were the ballot measures that we passed. I know folks are saying Measure Q was not a big deal because it was just addressing the racist housing policy that requires voter permission to allow for the development of affordable housing. But once we get that clear, we won't have to go back for approval every single time we want to build affordable housing, because that's what we're going to do moving forward. We are going to spend our time and our energy and our resources making sure we are acquiring, rehabilitating, and getting the units towards our statewide mandate to create affordable housing in the city of Oakland. There are a number of projects that are in the pipeline, and I'm excited about being able to access not just the waiver that allows us. Well, it's not a waiver, but the ballot measure that allows us to get the authorization. But we can access part of the Measure U funds for pre-development dollars that are needed to start to get these projects developed. So that's just the new construction, but we're also talking about acquisition. We have dilapidated, abandoned, blighted spaces as well, and our Measure U funds will allow us to do that. And we can access a portion of those pretty quickly. And that's one of the things I'm working on with Councilmember Kaplan, to be able to start to see a realization of affordable housing in the city of Oakland. So Measure Q and Measure U go together. We knew that when we drafted them, and look forward to seeing some realization of what that means, not only in my district, but across the entire city. And Measure V was another ballot measure that was critical in our housing successes of 2022. And Measure Z, Measure V, do I have to go detail? You guys know what these are. Y'all already know what all these ballot initiatives are. We just did it. It was a housing win. And I said, I'm going to get through this list really quickly. So QUV, all ballot measures that were critical, all ballot measures that were foundational to actually seeing some of the housing successes that we need to make Oakland affordable. So there it is. Economic justice, we passed the progressive business tax. And so that is going to also help us generate revenue for the city of Oakland into getting more money into public services. Right now, we need to attract more people to come and work at the city of Oakland so that we can have the folks that are available to fix our roads, to create the traffic infrastructure that is so desperately needed, specifically around schools and senior centers. Shout out to SF Streets blog. We are also in desperate need of the revenue to upgrade and upkeep some of our historic sites, like the Moss House and the Malanga Art Center. And I'm just speaking to things in my district, because I hope that's why you all are here. But these infrastructure funds, $350 million, are so critical and important to maintaining the city. And we've got to have the staff that are on board and ready to do that work in order to do it and do it successfully. So staffing up and having the funds to just deliberate on what needs to be done are critical. Right now, we are in process of reviewing the implementation date. It's in Finance Committee. It was actually supposed to go last week, but it was pulled off agenda and is coming back to the Finance Committee. I will get you all a date soon if you want to get the updates on what's happening with the progressive business tax. And I feel like this is really rude to talk this fast. It's really rude. What if people are trying to watch with closed captions? Okay, I know I want to get to the police commission meeting, but I should probably talk a little slower because if I were in a community meeting in real life, I would be asking people to slow down. It's easier for closed caption um, software to catch it if you're speaking slowly. So let me get myself together. I apologize and I will do better. Um, what else did we do? The progressive business tax, public financing of uh, campaigns to create a democracy dollars program for low income people to be able to contribute funds to a candidate of their choice without having to pay out of their pocket. So the former campaign financing system that the city of Oakland uses will now be this new system where every voter in Oakland gets $100 to donate to a candidate of their choice. And that candidate really has to work for those dollars. So candidates have to go into community and knock on doors and talk to people and earn their democracy dollars in order to level the playing field of who gets to donate to campaigns. Because oftentimes it's people who have more income or access to more income that determine the outcomes of Oakland elections, and we're trying to level the playing field on that. Um, and the public bank of the East Bay is something that I'm super super proud of and super excited about because it's also a way of leveling the playing field, and it's just done in a different way. So with the public bank of the East Bay, which is a resolution that I'm working with a group of amazing organizers who've kept this alive in Oakland since at least 2014, 2013 possibly. Um, it will allow us to create a bank of the East Bay, which currently consists of the cities of Berkeley, the city of Oakland, and the city of Richmond, coming on board in the near future to pool their municipal resources in order to create a public bank that doesn't invest in the speculative market in some of the instruments that created the crash and makes banking really, really speculative and volatile for individuals and organizations who invest their money there. So it will not be a personal bank where people can set up their own individual accounts like your typical Bank of America or Wells Fargo, but it will be for municipal deposits in order to fund things like affordable housing, small business supports, and things like that. So we will be able to weather the storm of recessions and offer the services and the benefits to community that we truly need. And there's only other one public bank in existence right now in the United States, and that's in North Dakota. But there are several cities across the country that are trying to get chartered to have public banks as well. I know in California, Los Angeles is trying to do that right now. In the period that we're living with so much economic uncertainty, so much climate uncertainty, all kinds of instability, we have to look at new ways of engaging in the world to try to just get through some of the tumultuous times that we're experiencing. And the public bank is one of the ways that I truly feel that we can do that. There's so much to talk about, but I believe that we are overdue for banking institutions whose primary mission is to support economic growth for everyone. And right now, I just watched a whole documentary while I was folding my clothes last night on the $700 billion bailout that the banks got for nearly crashing the entire global economy. And we need to avoid things like that in the future. So public bank it is. An enhanced infrastructure financing district. It was a proposal that myself and then Councilmember Sheng Tao brought forward in order to create an ongoing funding source to fund some of the things we just talked about, like affordable housing and community infrastructure, particularly for me in District 3, where we've seen so much wealth extraction from the Black community specifically, where there used to be a thriving 7th Street, music scene, arts, small businesses. All of that wealth was extracted during the urban renewal periods that occurred over decades in the city of Oakland, and we need that investment back. Folks wonder why some communities are not doing so great. Well, part of it is when you take out what you demolish 5,100 homes. You take away an individual's access to work, to employment, to education, to housing, and you get what you get. And so I want to bring that back. And one of the ways we're going to do that is through an enhanced infrastructure financing district. And the funds that can be captured through this district can be used for infrastructure, climate change, broadband, transit, childcare facilities, libraries, and um, one of the most important things for me in the district is brownfield restoration. So there are a lot of toxic sites that exist in the city of Oakland and in my district, in our district, and the funds from the EIFD will allow us to remediate those sites so that we can develop housing, because that is a critical need, not just in Oakland, but the entire state of California. So to meet our mandatory housing goals that we receive from the state through the regional housing needs assessment, it's important that we have the land in order to develop. And so I want to be able to make sure that these sites are available to low income and extremely low income people, as well as homeless services for supportive housing with wraparound services, so that we can start to seriously address the issue of homelessness and lack of access to affordable housing for some of our most vulnerable residents. And vulnerability comes in a lot of different ways, from individuals that are barely holding on. We're facing a cliff for evictions when the moratorium ends, or it's just someone who's a senior or a student. There's all different ways that you can be vulnerable in this society and not be able to afford the average rent in Oakland. So we want to make sure that everyone has access to housing at every income level. And that's what one of the things I seek to do with the Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District. So this district will also, I'm laughing because I'm thinking of that it was the Black community where all this wealth was extracted, which is why I'm researching and pushing a Black New Deal. But I couldn't help but to chuckle because of all of the individuals who are trying to make that some kind of corrupt issue to work with some of the most brilliant minds in the Bay Area right now, who've studied and published work on wealth extraction from West Oakland, and all the pushback that people are trying to do about that. It's unfathomable to me, but I shouldn't be surprised. That said, the Black New Deal is a way to address all of the things that were taken away from West Oakland, and to rebuild an environment that is clean, that is green, that is accessible and safe. And I think that's at the very least what this community deserves. And that's why we are pushing for the Black New Deal that has 6, now 7 issue areas to really focus on reinvesting in the district. Last year, the legislation directed the city administrator to present a report and recommendations on different configurations of the EIFD, like East Oakland, West Oakland, and East Oakland and West Oakland. And so we should be hearing back on the next step, which is the letter of interest to actually begin that process. And that is going to happen this year. And the EIFD, if folks want to be a part of, giving testimony of their family's experiences in West Oakland, to be a part of this process. And, we're going to do some oral histories, some video recording of people's histories. If you want to be included in that process, please email us at district3@oaklandca.gov, Black New Deal, and we will hit you up. My community liaison will hit you up about how you can get involved. We'll send out more information on that as well in the month of February. And in the community, we work to increase youth summer jobs. And that's, we did that in 2022, but in 2023, we're expanding that through relationships with several new partners in the city of Oakland I'm super excited about. But we brought a resolution, myself with Council President Bass, Council Member Tao at the time, and Vice Mayor Kaplan. And we expanded the Youth Summer Jobs Program by seeking more funding, expanding outreach, increasing internal city of Oakland job opportunities, and more. So it's going to be really exciting, especially once we get the pool up and running 24/7 at DeFirmery, which I'm working with community members on right now. Yeah, we're gonna start to see what it looks like when young people have access to not just summer work, but year-round work that pays a decent wage, so that they feel like they don't have to do anything else, any other little side hustles, or get involved in antisocial activity. Summer youth jobs have been proven to be a huge determinant in whether young people are engaged in antisocial behavior or positive activities. It's a public safety measure, and that's why we really wanted to lift that up last year, and why we're investing more into it this year. And we did the Black New Deal Symposium. So right after February, we had the January legislation for the Youth Jobs Program, and in February, we followed that up with the Black New Deal Symposium, where we heard from some of Oakland's brightest in the areas of art and culture, economics, education, environment, housing, and public safety. And we will be embarking in 2023 in a new relationship with our friends and partners at the West Oakland Health Center to grow that those areas of the Black New Deal. And we're working with them to try to increase their pipeline and access to mental health providers. There are not a lot of African American people that are actually available to go into mental health and behavioral health. And it's something that the West Oakland Health Center really, really wants to see. And it's one of the things to grow our macro program and to even help this county of Alameda onboard and hire additional personnel, because I just found out recently too that they have vacancies in the county that provide mental health services. So, you know, there are a lot of jobs available that are desperately needed in our community. So if you're looking for work, or if you know someone that's looking for work, you can also email us at district3@oaklandca.gov, so we can get you plugged into the vacancies that we know exist at the city and the county level. So we introduced legislation on the Black New Deal. How are we on time? Woo, not terrible. And the report found out that the economic impact of these racist policies in Oakland costs Black residents between $4.9 and $5.2 million in lost wealth. And that doesn't include a wide range of other impacts like lack of school funding, job opportunities, income gaps, and more. So that's why I think it's critical that, I know people don't necessarily like to talk about and say, like, you know, we're in this post-racial America and things aren't necessarily as bad anymore. I wasn't alive and I didn't do that. That's not fair for certain communities to get more. This is not a zero-sum game. And if the investment in these communities had existed in a way that they should have in the first place, a lot of the challenges that we see in the world would not exist. So at some point, we got to put our buckets down where we stand and invest in the community so we get the outcomes that we want to see. I don't think that's radical. I think it's rational. So that's why the goal of the Black New Deal was to come up with a concrete strategy and funding source to implement the changes that are necessary to build thriving communities. We also, the following month, introduced the resolution to bring a farmer's market to West Oakland. And we had to jump through all kind of hurdles, and shout out to Reddy Bea and Jyoti, who really worked with the provider to get the documentation and the paperwork done, because there was a bunch of barriers that we had to overcome in order to even bring the farmers market to West Oakland. And it has been an amazing resource to the neighborhood, an amazing resource to the overall community, because you can get your little oysters Rockefeller every Sunday. You can get you know, the best lemonade and fresh microgreens and eggs and milk and everything that you want, all the staples that you want, as well as really cool. And they have kombucha on tap. You can get it in like half gallons. It's there. It's just a really, really awesome, cool place. And once again, you can get all your staples there. I believe they take EBT now, and it brings community together every single Sunday, right in the middle of West Oakland. I encourage people to check it out if you haven't already, because you can get your food there, but you can also get like jewelry, art, books. It's a wonderful place to be. Wonderful community center. And we also honored and acknowledged Bill Russell and Coach Michael Peters and the McClymonds football team and Pastor Gillette James, and all of these individuals have been or currently continue to be huge pillars in our community. And so what I'm trying to do is give people flowers while they're there. So in 2023, we're going to really lift up the people who are still living and working and contributing to community. But I also wanted to recognize some of the giants and legends that come right from Oakland, California, and who've contributed immensely to the district and to the city as a whole and to the nation. So let's keep it real. Shout out Bill Russell. Arts and culture, we were able to move a lease that was a below market rent lease for the Dr. Huey P. Newton Foundation. So they were able to open the first ever gallery and center for education for the Black Panther Party right on 14th and Broadway. So we activated the city-owned space that was formerly the Betty Ono Gallery, and it's in the heart of the Black Arts Movement Business District, which is a really good place to have a center like this. So it is the Dr. Huey Newton Center for Research and Act that will be activated within the next month or so, and host several different installations where people can take advantage of the archives and information from Dr. Huey P. Newton. It'll be a meeting space for community, and it will allow the community to engage with the history and politics through workshops, lectures, service programs, and more. And so I was really proud of that and really excited about what that center will be able to do and bring to the district. So check that out. We'll let you know when the grand opening is happening. It's going to be amazing. And in terms of this year, that was all last year, y'all. That was just last year. And I feel like I'm out of breath. But I'm going to try to run through this year. And I'm not going to get into the details, but I'm going to tell you what our focus is. We are focusing on public land for public good. So really enhancing our public lands policy and utilizing the vacant parcels for public good. So that has a myriad of potential outcomes, but we're definitely looking at public lands and how can we get the most out of those. And so I'm also going to be partnering with the school district and the county of Alameda on their public lands as well to activate those spaces so we can get them in use, address blight, address homelessness, address affordable housing, all through the use of our public lands. I'm not going to, once again, get into the details because we'll be here all night if I detail all of those things, but you can always follow up with my community liaison, Brianna. She's at District 3 at oaklandca.gov for overall information that I'm discussing today. So we can follow up if you have any questions. You can also drop those in the chat and we'll try to get those answered. And what else are we doing in 2023? We are going to increase homeless services and sites. I was in Sacramento all last week and was able to have some really good conversations with elected officials and our statewide representative. So we're working on addressing, funding for these vacant sites and how do we access and utilize public lands. But we also talked about different ways to bring mental health funding to the city of Oakland to address the deep, deep need that we have. And I don't have to tell you all, because if you live here, you know what we're experiencing. And there are a lot of people who need serious health care that are just not getting it. Um, there's some heavy stuff that's happening in the district, and I'm on like go mode to get the resources needed to address those things. And you'll be hearing about that more later. I've been talking to several families or several impacted families who also want to see more mental health resources, just like I know the residents of the district do. So we have some things that are coming down the pike in the next month or two. So stay tuned for that. You'll be hearing more details on these lives and through social media. We are going to continue with the Black New Deal and the EIFD and the public bank. We're going to finalize the legislation and get those things rolling. And we are going to do a lot of community arts events this year. I'm not going to tell you the details because I want you to be surprised when you hear them. But there's some critical and important figures that were staples and just like mainstays and just about the culture in Oakland that I'm going to be lifting up this year with the help of community members. And would love if you all have ideas of some things that we should be celebrating, especially because we know we're going to be in a pinch this year with not maybe having some of the resources that we are used to in the past because of budget deficits at the state level. We got to figure out how to celebrate. We got to figure out how to keep art in our lives. And I encourage people who are interested in doing that to contact our office as well. And so last but not least, we're going to clean up the streets. And how do I say this? Sometimes you got to go and do stuff the old fashioned way. So we're going to launch a whole street cleaning and beautification campaign the old school way, because part of mental health and part of our ability to just feel good about life is knowing that you have a decent place to stay and that you have beautiful things to look at. And for residents, the majority of whom are renters, we don't always have backyards. We don't always have the space to kind of just go and chill. So we got to make sure that our streets are clean and our parks are clear and that people are living habitably and safely and securely in spaces that are not underpasses, that are not safe, that are toxic and full of just dirt and debris. And so we're going to clean it up. We're going to clean things up. We're going to work with our community to do that. We're going to work with our city staff and the city workers who put in like overtime to do it. And we're going to clean up the city. And so I was happy to see that Mayor Sheng Tao said that that was a priority of hers as well as mine. So looking forward to beautification of the district with all of you and with our partners in community and in the city to make that happen. So if you know some places that you want to get some TLC, we gathered some through a Twitter. I don't know if we did a poll at the time, but we definitely collected several addresses to put on the list. And we're just going to start knocking them down one by one. And so I'm going to see if I need to get a special license to drive a garbage truck. But I'll be honest, I used to look at Noel Gallo like, for real, dude, you're doing all this cleaning of the district. We need an overall process and structure internally to do it, but I don't have time to wait, right? So I'm gonna just get out there and go get my Class B, what is it, CA, ABCD license, and I'm gonna be out there cleaning up the streets because I once again, I think it benefits our mental health if we are getting outside, running, walking, engaged in external activities where we're breathing fresh air and experiencing, just the beauty of the city. And we got to make sure that it's beautiful in order to do that. And so we will work in partnership to make sure that the things that we talked about around housing are actually moving forward. We are making sure that we are utilizing public land for public good. And we are going to embark on planting 10,000 trees in the district with 2 community partners that reached out to my office last year in order to do that and make the air more breathable, because we know that West Oakland is one of those places that, are just a center for environmental pollution, toxic air. It shortens people's lifespan. It creates asthma in children and difficult breathing for people of all ages. And so we want to address that. And one of the ways that we want to do that is through planting more trees. So that's my list right now. Quite honestly, there's going to be more stuff than what I just listed today, but those are some of our overarching goals. I didn't get into the details about the traffic calming measures that we're talking about with the Department of Transportation and West Oakland Environmental Indicators Project and community members, but we're looking at specifics like frontage road and other areas in the district that really deeply need some TLC when it comes to traffic calming and infrastructure repair. I will bring back the details on a future live about the priority list of what those areas are according to the Department of Transportation. But that is it in a nutshell. I apologize that I started off super, super fast and I did slow down, but I realized I was going too fast still. But those are some of the things that we did. I said I was going to try to get it done in 30 minutes. It was 36 minutes. And if there are questions or, oh my goodness, there are so many comments. Okay, where do I go? Alan Sanford is saying if we use asset forfeiture law where enacted, the landlords and tenants can both be subsidized accordingly and a deposit can be made into the proposed Bank of Oakland to create the circular economy that will be required to sustain the basic incomes needed to make everything work. There will be no taxpayer money needed. Well, that sounds sweet. No taxpayer money needed. I know there are people out there who love the idea of that. So that is something that I'm definitely going to need help reviewing or looking into. So yes, that sounds great about giving people basic incomes. Thank you, Alan, for agreeing with that. It will level the income playing field. And yeah, you're absolutely right. And it's been proven by pilots in Oakland and across the country that when people have a few extra dollars, they can get caught up on their bills. They can have extra money to pay down debt and do other very necessary things that keep them afloat and keep their heads above water. So they're not struggling for just the basic services. So, or their basic needs. And Alan is also, Alan, you are chatty tonight. Okay, I see you. You're saying get that $200 trillion line of credit from the Fed from the money they stole between 2006 and 2008. Okay, that's them banks. We know how they do. Yeah, that's why we need a public bank of the East Bay in order to, just not have to deal with some of the speculative elements of Wall Street banks. And once again, we will keep you posted on there. What's up, Sharina? I see you. I'm happy that you're listening. Thank you. And they're mostly comments, so not a lot of questions. Alan Sanford said, "Are you serious about driving a garbage truck? If I have to, I'm going to do what it takes to clean up the district. So if I have to drive a garbage truck, I will. Do I want to? Absolutely not. Do people in the community want me to do it? Probably not. It's probably not the best. But I'm just telling you what I want to do to make sure that our district is clean. I've actually been seeing Caltrans a lot in the district lately. I've been seeing our city workers out working overtime, doing more just to make sure the visibility of our overgrown trees and bushes are addressed so that people are not getting into accidents and things are safe. And so I want to be as helpful as possible because it feels like sometimes everything is too daunting for just one entity, just one person. So I'm going to contribute in ways that I can, and I'm encouraging folks to come out and support. So I'm going to be working with the 4-Piece Coalition to bring those back to the different neighborhoods in District 3 and the district overall. So if you want to get involved, please hit us up once again at District 3 at oaklandca.gov. And if there are no questions, I'm going to go to the police commission meeting so I can listen to what's going on and get informed just like everybody else, so I can bring you the information that you need in your life, um, for, your everyday purposes. And so you can be informed and you can be civically engaged and you can know what to do to support what we're trying to do, or, just, yeah, you should be informed. Everybody should be informed. Are there any questions? Anybody have any more questions? If not, thank you for bearing with me on this very rushed but very important recap of 2022 and our outlook for 2023. We have a lot of work to do, but I believe if we do it together, if we talk to each other, even if we don't agree, if we listen to each other, most of us have the same objectives for the district and for the city. So let's figure out how to work together and get some things done. Um, and then I'm going to go. I see I do have one question from a very dear friend from Kit Back. Can you say which tree organizations the city is going to work with? Maybe Oaklanders can donate to those groups, already donate to the Arbor Foundation. Kit, I will let me check with those organizations because I'm not sure if they're nonprofit organizations or not. So let me get that information and get back with you. But I will put that on my social media so that you can know, and I will reach out to you directly so you can have that information. And thank you for donating to the Arbor Foundation. And with that, my friends, it's been real. It's been real quick. And I promise the next time I come and talk, it will not be this fast. And we'll be able to get into some real conversations and some back and forth, since this is a type of office hours for folks where you can ask me questions and I can answer directly back. So until then, until soon. See you later. Bye.